Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I've got an interesting video for you. Today you can see, obviously, we're going to be talking about ESEE Knives today. Right here I have the small ESEE Azula. This is a fabulous knife. Very nice EDC knife. I put the paracord handle on it and I just love this knife. It's fantastic. And then the next one I want to show you is my ESEE 6. This is a fabulous knife too. Desert tan. It's got the micarta scales on it. It's 1095 high carbon steel. In fact, both of these knives are 1095, but in this video today I want to talk about this ESEE 3. I hosted a ESEE survival class on my land back in October, and I assisted teaching some things in that class. It was a really good time. We had 4 students, and it was the first ever ESEE class. It was a desert survival class here in Arizona, and it was a lot of fun. I hosted and helped teach a little bit. This one is kind of special because I was a host, so it's pretty cool. But we chose these knives. We chose the ESEE 3. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you right now. So let's take a look and see. I'm so excited. Now these knives were custom engraved. I think they were like laser etched. So here I have a couple ESEE stickers. Very cool. I'll probably end up putting those on my truck. Here's the card, the instruction card. Gives you some information about the knife. And then this little part right here, this is their little business card, but it's also got survival information on the back. So it's very cool. I think that's just really neat that they do that. Very cool. ESEE is such a cool company. Good people. So let's put the box away and we'll pull out this ESEE 3. There's another survival card right there. The gentleman that taught the class, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, his name's Caleb, he had one of these hatchets, and that's one of their newer releases, and it's very cool. Very cool. So let's take a look at the ESEE 3. But before we get into the knife itself, I want to look at the sheath real quick. So this is really cool. Made in the USA. So we have a very basic, very simple nylon type sheath. Very cool. It's got like a little button right here. Very simple. Pretty cool. And it appears that the knife will attach to this. That's very cool. Here is the rest of the part here. So it's basically like this little Azula. You got the main part and then you got this other part that bolts on. So this is just a larger version of that. This part will basically bolt on to the sheath here. So there's a first look at that knife. That looks fantastic. Has a little bit of paracord on it. Now this one has a 1095 blade, but on the handles it's got G10. So it's got good steel and it's got hard G10 handle scales. Now right there, hopefully this camera will zoom in. That's the Desert Survival class. Again, it's got my name on it, Jiu-Jitsu 2000. This was the first ever ESEE Desert Survival class. 2020 Alumni. That's just very cool. So this knife has a good feel to it. I'm not sure, but I'm looking at the thickness of the blade and it looks like the blade is maybe a little bit thinner than the Azula. Yeah, it's a little thinner. The Azula thickness knife, this thing is just solid. Like, I can't picture breaking this thing. And the ESEE 3 There was a guy that attended the class that actually had, I think, an SE3 with him. I took my 6 and my Azula, and I took a Mora. But that is just a beautiful knife. And I was so honored to be selected for the person to be able to host the desert survival class. And the curriculum that we had out there was awesome. We basically stayed the whole weekend. So we went out there on a Thursday, and then Caleb and I did. And then on Friday we came back into town, into Winslow, my hometown here, and we met the students. And then we drove out to the land. That was Friday morning, and we stayed Friday. So we stayed Friday night, and then we had all day Saturday, and we stayed Saturday night, and then about half the day on Sunday. This is my first experience with G10 handle scales, so I'm not sure what to think about that yet. They have pretty good traction. The thing that I've heard about G10 that is kind of concerning to me is I've heard that if you set this down like in something cold or something hot, when you pick it up, it'll feel cold or hot to the touch. Where micarta doesn't do that. Micarta is almost like an insulator type material. So the sheath is really nice. Look at that. Very nice. I think this is going to be a very good balance between my Azula and my SE6. I think this is probably going to be my go-to, because this thing, I carry this thing all the time. If I'm on a backpacking trip, this 3 isn't much heavier than the Azula, and you got a lot more blade to work with. I mean, you got a lot more material. I mean, if you're going to baton some material or something, look, you got quite a bit more blade at your disposal. So they got a nice little finger choil right here. You could probably actually strike a ferro rod with that, because they got this jimping on the thumb ramp area here. I'm not a big fan of the jimping up here, but they say that helps you like choke up for finer carving tasks. You can really squeeze between your index finger and your thumb here. You can really squeeze, but there's not really much protection to keep your finger off of that. So it'd be good for like fine carving tasks when you're very controlled and you're cutting. But again, you could probably hit a ferro rod there if you needed to. It's got a nice pummel on the bottom end there. So if you got to break some glass or something like that, that might work too for maybe helping drill bow drill divots. It's got a nice lanyard hole. Just a very nice knife. Rat Desert Survival 2020 Alumni Jiu-Jitsu 2000. Very cool. So I'm going to give this knife a shot, and I'll leave you some feedback in the future. I'm sure you're going to see this knife in future videos. I'm going to definitely put it to use. I love the Azula and I love the SE6. So I'm pretty confident that this SE3 is going to be fantastic. I got to figure out how this attaches here. Kind of thinking it maybe bolts to it or something like that, I'm guessing. Looks like those holes line up right there, so you can do something like that, I guess. I'm not sure. So with all that being said, folks, again, thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.